And we're back. Welcome to St James's Pod. We're here to discuss the Brighton game and whether Eddie Howe is under pressure after the first home defeat since January. Be getting into that as well as previewing the two Chelsea games actually. Stick around.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Right then, Dorse, you're at the game. You can tell me first. Obviously, the result was crap, but what was the performance actually like?
First half, we were brilliant. I didn't expect it at all. Absolutely controlled the game. Limited them to, I think, the only shot on target was the goal. But even besides that, they didn't really create any chances at all. We had complete dominance. Obviously, we had a few chances as well. So it was just a shame because it's almost like a reverse of what's happening earlier in the season where we've had poor performances and eking out results. Like we're having a decent performance against a very good side and found themselves, I think, quite unfortunate to be 1-0 down at half time. So even then, I think the atmosphere in the stadium was pretty good. I think people appreciated that we're trying, we're making an effort, and we're playing some good stuff. It just, I don't know what it is at the moment, but we haven't scored many goals this season, and it's becoming a problem. And I don't know what the remedy is for that.
I reckon if you compare our goals at this stage last season to the current season, would be well behind. I mean, just on Isaacs alone.
Like if you compare, say last season, we were conceding a lot of goals, but we were scoring a fuck ton. The season before that, our defence was solid as a rock.
Yeah.
Neither's happening at the moment. We're struggling at both ends of the pitch.
What did you make to their goal then? Because obviously you're saying we're playing pretty well, and then they kind of did a snatch and grab on us. But realistically, we should have defended that a lot better.
Just sloppy. It's a long ball over the top. You think we'd be able to deal with it a bit better. Yeah. And I mentioned Welbeck as well last week. He's the main man this season. Don't give him the sniff. And it was a
decent little 1-2 from their side, but so avoidable.
Yeah.
If you win the first ball, but if you don't win that, win the second one. And there was no pressure on Welbeck when he picked up the ball.
No. So giving a player in that kind of form, that kind of opportunity, it was almost like, again, we'll go back to Isaac at the start of last season. You just know he's finishing that. Whereas Welbeck, just give him a chance, he's gonna fucking bury it. And one chance, one goal, and it's just a bit of a stomach punch, to be honest.
Yeah, at that point I was still quite confident. I've got to be honest, because we were dominating that much. But I don't know, looking back, how much we were playing good versus them playing pretty shit. We were quite surprised with how Brighton set up.
Well, it was like the game plan was to concede possession and let us have the ball a bit more, and obviously it worked specifically for their goal where they broke. But even players obviously mentioning Minty before, but he was out the squad. But Mitoma was on the bench as well, so it's not we'll keep the rapid players on and ping Newcastle on the counter.
They weren't even going for the counter, were they? Weren't even going for the counter. It was just very contained. A bit bizarre, really.
Ball most of the time,
which is pretty uncharacteristic of this Brighton side of what we're seeing for a number of years now. The managers have came and gone, but the playing style has pretty much stayed the same. Control possession, fast flow and attacking, exciting football. But it couldn't have been much further from that in that first half. But then something changed at half time, and I don't know whether it was a manager team talk or if they tweaked little things. I couldn't notice anything particular myself, but just came out that second half and just managed to get control of the game, which is strange because you'd expect the opposite to happen, that they'd maybe sit in a bit more, concede possession a bit more if that was possible. but they just grew into the game the longer that second half went on, and by the end, it was so comfortable. Like both teams had chances towards the end of the second half, but I think in general they can be delighted, and the fans probably weren't sweating too much come the end of the game, because it's not like, like when you defend a 1-0 lead and you're like under siege a bit, and like last 5, last 10, like just clearing balls and then it's come back in. Fucking none of that. So it was disappointing, especially after that first half. And I just don't know where we'll go from here, to be honest. The games aren't getting any easier.
Yeah, I thought they controlled it second half, like in the middle of the park, and then like Matoma, it worked out bringing them off the bench because he got a good few chances. If Pope made one good save, he had another one that just went wide. So yeah, it was tale of two halves, definitely.
I was going to mention the subs there, but it just reminded me about when we were previewing Dorse, we were talking about whether playing Gordon on the right affects his game like too much to actually avoid it. So, Jord, I guess we'll ask you your thoughts on it. When we're starting Murphy on the right and we've got Harvey Barnes on the bench, do you think we should just be getting Barnes and Gordon on together no matter whether, like, which one's on the left? Or do you kind of
I think at this
Eddie's
stage,
right in?
Nah, I'll go against Eddie on this one. Like, I think you've got to play your better players, and I wouldn't move Gordon. I think he's our best player, the most in form at the minute anyway, and you play him on the left, and then you've got to play Barnes on the right, because we just have absolutely nothing going on the right, and Livramento can do a job from right back getting forward and that, but he's just got no support. Like everything was down our left, so you've got to change it up. Like I'd just be starting Barnes. I know Barnes' best position's on the left as well, so it's tricky, but I think you just got at this stage just got to play your best players.
Alex, do you agree after watching that back? Or do you think, I know Murphy had a stinker, but do you think potentially you put Murphy in there when you've got someone like Livramento at right back?
See, like, I think that's one of Murphy's worst games. We've seen him for a long time. He was anonymous for large periods, and it was noticeable in the stadium. Like, it wasn't just the fact that he wasn't creating anything going forward. It's the fact that even coming back, there was points in that second half where he was almost, I don't know if he was a bit disheartened or whatever, but he was almost jogging about. Like, he wasn't his usual sharp, like, trying to make, like, darting runs. Like, he was completely ineffective. So I completely agree with Jord. Like, even though one player needs to play out of position, I think either Barnes or Gordon playing out of position is better than Murphy or Mickey when it is their natural position, because the difference in class between our two natural right wingers and the two natural left wingers, the jumping class is just like ridiculous. And yeah, fair enough. Like, bring Miggy on against tired legs at the end of the game where you can have some energy. Same to an extent with Murphy, but they should not be starting for us. Like, that proves that they should not be starting for us. And I know the Toon support are quite reactionary and stuff like that, and people are quite rightly getting on the back of Murphy after that, because it was just not good enough. And
this is probably the point of the pod where Tommy Dick Fingers pops up and starts supporting Murphy.
Fuck, honestly, if he jumped on the pod now, if he popped in late, I'd kick him the fuck back off. If he came on spot on that shit, like.
I'm gonna message him while we're talking to see get his defence in. Talking about the subs though, and obviously Barnes coming on, I thought he was the only one really that sort of had an impact. The rest of the subs seemed pretty poor when they came on.
I couldn't even tell you who came on, like, which says everything.
Yeah, well, there was Willick and Longstaff, and yeah, I think that was it apart from Barnes.
Osula came on late on.
Yeah,
and Osula Miggy.
It's a bit. Oh yeah, Miggy came on as well, didn't he?
Yeah, so we made all 5 subs in the end, but as George's saying, like, they're so forgettable. Like, you literally forgot them. So, um, do you know what
Well,
frustrates us? Like, we've seen how good Willett can be. We've seen how good he is, like, making chances, driving with the ball. This whole season, I don't know what he does when he comes on. I don't know what he brings. Like,
it's weird because
there was one moment where he was like, I think the ball was going out in the corner, and he was just jogging towards it, and the fans got on his back saying like, "Fucking run after it!" And then he actually like kicked him into gear. And it's like the coming off the bench. I mean, starting you don't expect to have that low energy, but coming off the bench, you gotta bring energy. It's just absolutely nothing from Willock.
it's weird because when he first came back from injury, he had that game, didn't he, where he looked like he was on fire, and then he got himself injured after didn't he score like in the first 5 minutes and then got injured, and then ever since then he's just looked absolutely terrible. I don't know if again it's a mental thing. I think we're really struggling mentally, confidence, especially in front of goal. I don't know if you agree, but I think that's where Isak's lacking, as well as probably a bit of rustiness coming off not playing for a bit. But you'd expect Gordon to probably have a bit of confidence, and he seems to not have his finishing boots on either. So I don't really know what we do to try and solve this goal drought.
I think it's that classic like pundit line like of at least we're creating chances. Like there was a few that like Isak had, and you would back him to score, and Gordon had
Yeah.
like a 1-on-1 and another one which was a good save, and
header.
it's just like the header as well. So it's just like at least we're creating chances, and like goes back to what Dawson said at the start of the show. Like we actually played quite well. It's just just didn't get anything away.
that Isak chance at the end of the first half, like, you just put everything on him just to tuck that away at any other point, and both with his and Gordon's one-on-ones, straight at the keeper. Like, hasn't even like made him make a save. It's just so disappointing. And I think you're right, Sam. I think both their heads are down at the moment. Hopefully, like, the floodgates will open once like they get one. You'd hope, anyways. But what, like, I know Eddie's getting a lot of stick because the performances haven't been good all season. But when we're playing like better the last couple of games against City and these, and we're getting
And Everton as
chances,
well.
yeah, a lot better against Everton and away from home, which we've been diabolical away from home for a long time now. But when the players are in the positions and just don't make the finishes, like, that's not on Eddie, that's on the players. Like, it's not like they're not
100%,
finishing, drain, whatever. They're doing one-on-ones like, got to be doing better. I'm sure like our expected goals was like 2.5 or something daft. Like, you'd expect to at least get one goal out of
Yeah.
that. But yeah, in the end, just finishing let we're down, and I think, to be honest, and it just fizzled out towards the end.
So do you think Eddie's job is actually kind of unsafe at the minute due to the way we've started the season? Because it's like every time we don't get a win, the noise comes from the fans. But I think anyone with like a level head's obviously going to be looking at it like you just said there. It's down to the players in at least the last 2 games. But then he isn't starting Barnes, but like you're saying, like George, you said, you disagree with Eddie on that one.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like a few other things that you think, well, how come he's doing that?
I think
But
the
you
answer
gotta
depends
remember,
on how many clickbait views you want. Because there's a right answer and a wrong answer.
give us a line, a click it up. I
The
was
more
going to say,
incendiary, the better.
I was going to say as well though, like you got to remember with like slagging off Murphy and Miggy and that, but we didn't get a right winger in for him, and also the defense. We're saying like we're not defending that well this season compared to 2 seasons ago. We haven't got in another centre back for him, but then again, I suppose you could argue that he might have been a bit stubborn with who he wanted. So,
See, like, you use the word safe, and like, I wouldn't say his job's unsafe, but I wouldn't say it's safe at the same time. Obviously, they've talked about Staley and Guehi being that like safety blanket almost, that they like sort of protect him a little bit from the ownership. And now they're gone, it's just like the business people in charge. Not that they weren't business people, but there's like that sort of more business head on, as opposed to like those two had sort of more the human side to it, like a bit of empathy. You'd seen Stevie like hugging the players after games and stuff like that. So I think if we do go on an extended run of bad results, I think his job will be in jeopardy like come Christmas time, because I think the Saudis will look at it saying like, look, I've pumped 400 million into this. You're in the bottom half. Like, it's not good enough, basically.
I think that's a good point. What you said there, Sam, about we could have rectified this in the summer. We could have got someone in. So the management have got to take some responsibility for that. There's nothing they can do right now, and like just judging off like the last performance, we played well, but it's just like it goes back to in the summer, all the fans were crying out for a right wing and a centre half. We didn't really address it at all, so it's like it's hard to get away from that. But my opinion is that I'd stick with. But I think as we get to Christmas, if we're like 14th, then that's going to be probably a different answer.
You seem to forget that marquee signing of Lloyd Kelly that we got in the summer.
Hi. I like 150 bags a week as well.
Outrageous, yeah.
Well, if we actually play them, might be better than what we've got at the minute, centre half. But
in his correct position, like I'd like to see him left centre back. Not that Burns been terrible, but he's limited. He's very limited. We've seen
he's pretty solid this against Brighton. I thought he made some good blocks, and
the
the
last
chances.
few games he's been decent. Yeah, like same against City. He's been fairly solid. So I'm not saying like drop him by any stretch, but you've seen Lloyd Kelly. He kind of plays a bit more like Cher in a way. Like he likes to spray the ball like the diagonals. I think like you'd slot in a bit better, and obviously couldn't be any slower than Burn if you try. But yeah, there's what you try to say is fast. But you're right though that there's been a lack of transfers in the summer, and just any refreshment into the squad. Wilson is still not back. Like, the places where we said we need reinforcements, as you said, centre back, right wing. The other one, striker, Osula is clearly not Premier League ready or Eddie Howe ready. Either way, he's not came on and done much in any game so far to say that he should. Well, he can deputise if Isak's knackered or injured or broke his toe or whatever. Like, Eddie obviously didn't trust him when he was out the last couple of weeks.
No.
Sorry.
Well, I guess that leads us on to the next game then, because I'm thinking, what do we do for the cup game? We've kind of got a lot of players that we've mentioned here that have come on off the bench. We've got players starting on, finishing very well, but the problem is that when these players are coming on, they're not really making a case for themselves. So I don't know what you guys think about what we're going to do with the team in the next couple of games. We've obviously got Chelsea twice. It's the league game first, right?
Yes, so we're playing away on Sunday, then the following Wednesday back up here. So we've got the...
So...
yeah. Go on.
Well, I was just trying to think myself what I would do, because we've got... You'd probably say he's going to go what he thinks is full strength for the league game away from home, rather than like rest anyone. But then you saw him take like Tonali off, apparently because he needed a bit of rest after the international break and stuff. But surely that's because he had one eye on the next couple of fixtures. And then we've got Arsenal after that. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think somebody like Osula is going to get a bit of a chance? Maybe he's in the cup game.
I can't see
Personally.
us starting players like that. I think I don't think he'll necessarily prioritise one or the other with the lineup. I think we might go pretty similar. There might be one where Gordon might not play in the cup and he plays Barnes there. And he might bring Willikin for one instead of like someone in the centre of the park. But I don't think we're going to see like wholesale changes, to be honest.
Nah, I'm in agreement, to be honest. I know we've got 3 games in a week against obviously tough opponents, but we've got no European football. I'm almost certain in that cup game against Chelsea that they'll rotate heavily because that's what they've done every single game in the Europa Conference. The conference they got in, or the Europa League? It's the conference, yeah. So they've basically, I don't know if you've noticed, but they've got a completely different starting 11 in the Conference League than the league. Like, they literally change all 11 players, and like Cole Palmer isn't even registered in the European squad. So I could see them.
Really?
Yeah, so they can register him later on in the tournament, so say like after the group stage in January or whatever. But
All
for
right.
this group stage, they've completely left them out. It's just so, yeah. If you look at their last game against Ghent, Jorgensen, Disasi, Tosin, Barishele, Vega, Juice Hall, Cassidai, Neto, Felix, Mudryk, and Kunku. A completely changed 11 from what you'll see in the league. And for obviously they're looking decent in the league. I know they've lost narrowly to Liverpool on Sunday, but it wasn't a bad performance. It's not like they were sort of bossed off the park. Like, I thought it was quite a close game, which was decided by a penalty in the end. But yeah, I think if I expect them to make a lot of changes and go strong in the league because top 4 is a priority for them. They don't care about the Carabao Cup. Like that means literally nothing to them. If they won Carabao Cup and finished like 6th, 7th place, they'd probably say that's still not a good season. If they finish top 4 and don't win the Carabao Cup, they would probably see that as progress. So I think they'll go completely full strength on Sunday in the league, and maybe we might get an easier cup draw and at home, where we've got a decent chance of progressing in the cup. Hopefully, anyways, that's where I'm at. If you offered us which one I'd win, I'd take going through in the cup than the league game all day.
Yeah,
I'd agree with that. Like, I think most Toon fans are desperate for some silverware, so you got to prioritise that over finishing 7th instead of 8th in the league.
So do you think then, based on that, we'll go same starting 11 in the league game, or do you think he probably brings Barnes in after that, or do you think he's going to end up bringing Miggy in?
There will be some rotation. Yeah, there will be some rotation, but as Joe said, I don't think there'll be a lot. Like, you might have Isak dropping out because obviously his match fitness might not be up to full strength yet. You might get Gordon playing through the middle, but Gordon tends to play every game. Like, I don't think fitness is a problem for him. He's one of those where he just plays. You might get Longstaff coming in instead of Tonali if he's still managing his minutes. And I wouldn't be surprised to see one of probably Lloyd Kelly coming left back. But there will be a few changes. But I think the core of the team, like, Cher's not getting dropped, Bruno's not getting dropped, and I don't see we're having a fully weakened front three either. You might have one player come in, like Miggy, but nah, for me, I don't think there'll be wholesale changes for the cup game.
Is Trippier out for both of them games, do you think?
I think so.
Did he
Hamstring
say
injury,
he's probably looking at Arsenal or after this run?
I don't know
So
the
it's going
exact
to be
quote.
Tino or Kraft, I guess.
Which Kraft's done admirable. He's doing all right, to be fair, like this season when he's come in. Not that I really want him to start, but yeah, look at last season against Man U. Dummett and Kraft at the back, and we tanked them 3-0, so why not?
You know what? I wouldn't actually be opposed to, if we started Barnes on the right, I wouldn't be opposed to Kraft right back. Because I didn't think Tino was bad against Brighton, but this season he's definitely not been where he was last season.
I thought you were going to say you wouldn't be opposed to bringing Dummett back on a short term deal. I would definitely be opposed to that. Like,
Get Dummett in for the lads. To be fair, the morale seems to have gone down since he left, so get him back.
he's a locker room guy. Him and Matt Ritchie, locker room guys.
We've still got Gillespie, man.
Oh,
He's just not the same without his double act. Well, would you actually change the defence at all?
I thought we've looked all right. I would keep it the same personally, but at least for the first game in the league, and then depending how we look there, defenses you can keep that like the same game on game. It's not like if we had Trippier, you'd maybe rotate him in for one, but he's not obviously available. So yeah, I'd keep the defense, keep it the same, and maybe do the rotations in the more attacking areas if at all.
Yeah, I thought Paul played pretty good against Brighton as well. I thought he had a good game. So you've seen progress from him. And as you say,
he had one shocker, didn't he? Where I don't know what he was doing. He tried to like head it away, and the ball was like on the ground. Should have just like booted it. But apart from that, he was solid.
There's a few times where like he made like good like last ditch like tackles and stuff like that. And I think he does go to overlap a lot as well. He does offer a lot.
He's got gas, like keeps going.
So like, especially when you've got Barnes or Gordon wanting to cut inside, he just gives that little like decoy run, which peels the defender off a little bit to allow them come inside. That's what you need, and that's good for us. So yeah, I wouldn't change any of the defense. Like, no, not at all.
Just talking about Hall there, you just reminded me about how bad the set pieces were.
Oh,
again,
fucking hell.
Brighton.
Oh, fuck me, awful.
Do you think we need to get Tonali on him?
I mentioned that during the game. I don't understand. He came in as Milan set piece taker, including direct free kicks. Yeah, we haven't seen it. What fucking... I know Tonali was off the pitch because he got subbed off. But fucking long stuff on corners, man. Like, surely we could do better than that. Like, fuck me.
Reminds me of when Harry Kane was taking them for England. Like, just the wrong player on set pieces. Doing? So frustrating. There was a corner, there was a free kick that we had outright, and he just didn't even hit past the first man on the free kick. It's like, fucking hell.
There's so many times where you're like, right, just beat the first man. And then I think it was Hall. He hit one or two at the first man. And then he just overcompensated for the rest of the fucking game. So they were going like way past the back post. So it was just like, it was an absolute disaster. And especially how like in the recent past, we've had some decent like set pieces as well. Like some funky little ones with like the one that stands out is the little pass between Bruno and Miggy where Bruno like flicks it between his legs. The little 1-2.
I think I seen that on Twitter or something recently.
Aye.
It popped up.
It's when I think it was Botman fires over the bar in the end where it's dragged back, but there's none of that. And don't get us wrong, I fucking hate short corners. Like I really don't like them. They don't often work. But try something because whatever's happening at the moment isn't working. Like change the takers, change the routines, get them in fucking training and practicing. Like fuck me, it was dire. Really poor. And we do seem to get a lot of corners at home as well. I'm sure we must have been near in double figures against Brighton. And I can't remember getting one chance from them. So poor.
It annoys me when it's like they basically buy a corner instead of trying to get the ball in the box or something. You're like, what's the point? Like, we're not going to do anything with it. But apart from putting Tonali on there, I don't know, like you say, like we don't seem to be trying anything new. Like it seems to be the same old week in, week out. And even stuff that maybe worked the first time we did it, they'll have seen, like the opposition will have seen it like so many times that they'll know by the way we're setting up what we're going to do.
Yeah.
And you'd think with Burn in there as well, like you'd think we'd do more in terms of like actually getting a ball in to attack it. But like you say, we're hitting the first man anyway. So, for that though, I'd like with Trippier out, I'm not sure who else I'd really put on corners and stuff. So, I like Lewis Hall's probably our only left-footed option. Don't know if Barnes is any good at set pieces.
You never see him taking them, do you? I mean, Miggy's left-footed. He doesn't have a right foot. He's very left-footed, in fact.
Would you
But
let Miggy take a corner?
oh, don't fucking start. I mean, if literally Lewis Hall wasn't on the pitch, then I'd still put a right foot on. I'd swing it out. That's the thing,
Yeah.
right? We always have in-swinging corners as well. Just
Yeah.
fucking mix it up, like have it drifting out to the pen spot or something. Because not only do a lot hit the first man, a lot hit the fucking keeper's hands as well.
I think we did
Yeah.
well. Longstaff came on, didn't he? And he put a couple straight in. Well, the one right at the end, straight in the keeper's hands when Hope was up. So we obviously don't practice them. And then as soon as we're in the position of like, shit, we've got no one to take an in-swinging corner, we're just throw someone in.
Yeah.
Have we got any positives we can talk about in terms of going to Chelsea?
We had a fucking decent performance. We had a few decent performances since Tonali's come back. He's been brilliant, and we just need to stop fucking taking him off when we need him, because he's playing 90 minutes every week, well, multiple times a week for Italy, but we keep taking him off early. Like, fucking play the cunt. Like, Jesus, it's not that difficult. As Joe said earlier, play your best players. Like, I know, like, we've had like these arguments for England where, like, oh yeah, putting all your best players in is not necessarily the answer. I think for Newcastle at the moment, it is the answer. Just hire the best players in. I'm not saying just like throw tactics out the window, but the players fit into the positions that we need, even with Gordon or Barnes on the right. Just play them.
Would you carry on where he's at then, even though his form has been terrible? Because obviously you know what he can do.
I think on another day he could have had a hat-trick. So it's like, I know he's like, he is a bit like, yeah, not much sharp, but he was still getting the chances. He was still getting there. It's like he's just not putting them away. Hopefully that's just going to come with more minutes, because you know we know how good of a finisher he is, one of the best in the league. So I wouldn't be dropping him, like, no way.
The only argument would be if Wilson was fully fit, then you could rotate him a bit.
Yeah.
However, he's not, and I don't think he is going to be possibly ever again for Newcastle.
We might not see him in a Newcastle shirt again. Like.
It would not surprise me.
Yeah, but I was thinking about this the other day, is like when we were talking about in the summer, like, would you sell Wilson or not? And obviously, like, the argument to keep
Do you know what
on
you
is,
get for him now?
well, that was it. Is like what you like the amount of money you get from. You're gonna have to spend a lot more to replace what he does. But
what fucking
if all he does is sit in the medical room, then you might as well, because like it's all well and good saying how good he is of a finisher and all the rest of it, but if you can't actually play him, you might as well just get somebody else in who, yeah, they might not be as good, but they can be fit every single week, fit and available. So yeah, I mean, I don't know how much longer he has got at Newcastle, to be honest. Like, I really hope he comes back and just fucking smashes it. And then everyone's like, oh, see, told you all along he's fucking quality, but it's just the way it's dragging on, where it's like, yeah, you'll be back after the international, and then it's, oh yeah, maybe the next one.
You sound like you're losing a battle trying to convince yourself of that. You don't sound particularly enthusiastic that he's going to come back and be any good.
I think he'll be good if he comes back, but the question is, will he come back? But I guess for the next 2 games, at least, that we're talking about now, we know we're not going to have them. So, Chelsea-wise, you're saying, like, what they do in terms of Europe and stuff. Do you think with the Carabao, well, you said earlier, Dawes, that you think they'll probably rotate heavily for that one. So do you think we'll see 2 totally different sides, basically?
I mean, if the European campaign has anything to go off, then yes. And so I don't know. I don't want to like try and predict like what he's gonna put out against like a top quality Premier League side, as opposed to the likes of, I mean, like the teams facing the Conference League are significantly poorer than any team in the Premier League in general. Anyways,
You've got to expect like Felix. Yeah, you have Felix to play.
Yeah.
Like the likes of that Dewsbury Hall, them guys. They're going to play, and they're good Premier League players.
They're good players. They've probably spent more on their like second 11 than we have on the starting 11. Or it won't be far off.
Easy. Yeah. I think if you look at the last game, like Enzo came off the bench, Neto came off the bench, and Nkunku. They've definitely spent more on their second 11 than we have our starting.
It's outrageous.
Did they play a different system at all when they changed the side for Europe? Or they're pretty much just like for like swaps?
I think generally they play the same. I know I've heard Maresca talk about the positions, and he says like he's said specifically like I've got like 2 players for every position at least, and then he says like Jackson and Nkunku for like up front, and like Sancho and one out for the left or something like that. He specifically said like these players, these positions, they play the same kind of like 4-2-3-1 kind of formation. Obviously, Palmer plays in the league.
I remember doing that at school when you'd write down the starting 11 and have 2 players in every position for your footy man teams.
Yeah, except for like his fucking backup players are still like £50 million players. You've got fucking Neto who can't get a sniff, and he's obviously a top quality player. It's
wild
for me. And you've got Tosin coming in who obviously turned us down. And
I was reading why he turned us down. It said that he wanted a contract clause in his contract that if Real or Barca came in, then they would sell him for like a certain amount. And we refused to put that in the contract, and Chelsea didn't, so that's why he moved to Chelsea.
If that's the fucking reason why we didn't get him, then someone needs to get sacked. Like, I know we've been stung by those in the past with like Demba Ba and Marino and stuff like that. But if you're getting a player in on a free, like decent player, like we've got Lascelles and Botman coming back Christmas at the earliest. Like, get him on a free, and if Real and Barca really want to come in and give a 20 million for him, then fucking happy fucking days. Like, fuck, hey. If that is the case, then I think that's diabolical that we've said no to that. Like,
I know, yeah, like, because if we got him and didn't put that in, you're gonna have an unhappy player if Barca or Real came in because they'd be like, I want to go. So it's like, it's like win. We get money we get them to start with, then we get probably whack on like the 50 million, 40 million fee. So like, happy days.
I'd like to know if that's true or not.
It was solid Twitter talk, like, but
it wasn't mouth of the time, was it?
No, I'm blocked from them. I think.
Yeah, that's why I didn't see it.
Right. Well, I guess we should try and predict some scorelines. So you two can have a think while I get the big spreadsheet up.
And
it's been a positive pod, so 5-0 Toon.
Yeah, we were positive against Brighton as well. I know that we didn't get these predictions right.
Well, yeah, we both predicted a win, so.
I think last time I was on, I was predicting for Stinky Pete and got it right, so.
You did, I.
1 of 1.
I don't think he's been on since, so
Well, keep
never
the streak
told
going.
him.
Haven't seen him since, actually.
Right. Who wants to go first? Well,
I'll let the new Pete go first.
Never. Never. Oh, how do I recover from that? Take a cold shower after this because I've been burned.
I mean, I need to because I've just been at 5-a-side, but that's completely different.
Are we predicting both games or just the next one?
give us the league game first, and then we'll do the next one.
League game, I'll go 2-1 Chelsea, and then cup game, I'll go 2-1 Toon.
I've got a similar kind of feeling, you know.
So 2-1. So you're going 2-1 to the home
2-1
side
to the
in
home
both.
team. Aye.
Both games.
Then the odds. Playing chess when you're playing checkers.
You bought chess with them eyes.
Fuck yeah, they're logging off.
You'll always see your next move.
Go on then, boss. What you saying?
Yeah, I was gonna go for a loss in the away game as well. I'm gonna go 3-1. I think that'll be too much. I mean, I'm not
3-1.
ruling it out, but yeah. What do you mean 3-1? Like they're playing like the best I've seen them playing in years. Palmer's on absolute fire, and we're not playing great. I can't see we're scoring more than one. I can see them putting a couple of past her. And I'm going to go for a 2-0 win in the cup. I think we'll go pretty strong. I think we'll make a couple of changes, but I think when the lineups come out, I think we'll be okay with our chances, especially at home. Under the lights.
Right. Well, I'm gonna buck the curve, and I'm gonna say 0-0.
Fucking hell.
Can't see we're scoring, but we're gonna have a defensive masterclass.
An 80% possession to Chelsea kind of job.
Yeah. But then we're gonna get our shooting boots back on, and it's gonna be 3-1 at home. And that's going to take us nicely into the Arsenal game. We're going to be firing on all cylinders. And then I'll not tell you what I think we'll do against Arsenal. Save that for the next pod, but it's going to be good.
I love that. Leave them
little
on a little cliffhanger.
Little teaser. Right, well, yeah, that's it for this week. I mean, I do think we've talked a lot of stuff about things that aren't positive, but mainly because the result was poor. The performance was good, like we said at the start. The performance was pretty good against Everton. The same thing, we couldn't finish. And then the performance was good against City, so shouldn't be too negative, really. Going into the next game, even though I predicted a draw and 2 losses, a good performance. A good performance. I mean, again, if we can just get, to be honest, even if we can get some goals, like I know I've said 0-0, but if we could get some goals, get some confidence into the forward players to go into that cup game. And yeah, I guess we'll be back for the Arsenal one, and that'll be another really tough game. Probably, would you argue, up there with the hardest game of the season?
Right, it's got to be. They were fighting tooth and nail with City last season, so even though we've done the dirty over them, and we've never heard the end of it after that. Joe Linton on Gabriel challenge, will I keep the ball in, etc., etc. Like, I've just thought there, Saliba, he'll miss this game, won't he? Because he'll be banned for 3 games. They're not going to be playing 3 times in between, so that'll be a pleasant surprise, a little gift, I hope. So yeah, we've seen already that they've been a bit more beatable of late. Odegaard missing, hopefully he won't be back. Saka injured, probably will be back. But yeah, we've got every chance. But it'll be a tough game. 12 kick-off.
Yeah, they
That's the
kick
early
off
one.
5. I got some. Are you going to the cup game as well, Dos?
I am indeed.
Nice.
Looking forward to it.
I got some
I
good
went
ones
to-
coming up.
I went to Stack for the first time before the Wimbledon game, and to be fair, it's pretty decent. Like, it's a lot bigger than it looks
Yeah.
from the outside. Plenty of space on the second floor. Had some nice food. Didn't take too long to get served, even though it was absolutely rammed.
Is it pricey in it?
No. It was like $5.50 a pint. Like, which, to be fair, these days is pretty reasonable. Like, especially somewhere like
Sorry,
that,
though.
brand new. You can imagine they could charge like $6.50. Like, well, you got to the arena,
Okay.
it's like $7.50 on that. Wait,
Jesus Christ, is that what it costs for a pint now?
went down to Tottenham and the cheapest drink I got was £7, I think, a few weeks ago. But like back in the Toon, you're talking like if you get a pint for starting with a 5, then you're not too displeased. It's the prices seem to be catching up to London, but the wages aren't. So fuck you all for all the London listeners.
There's a nice note to end it. If you enjoyed the episode, like, subscribe, follow us on every podcast platform. Leave us a review as well. 5-star review really helps us out. Tell your friends and family, tell your nan. And follow us on social media at stjames'pod everywhere. And like he said, fuck you this.
What do you do?